Welcome back. We're at the large workshop and we've got a build out to finish. So last time we were here, we got those floor joists, we got that subfloor installed, and well, now what we got to do, we got to get all the interior walls finished out, get this thing ready for finishes. So let's get into it. Now that all these joists are done, we have this board up here that you can see, and that is our top plate. Now I have to install the bottom plate, and the reason we do this is because it is easier to get a perfectly flat floor above us if we do the wall later. If we don't do the wall later, it takes a lot of effort to get every stud zeroed in at the exact elevation. Otherwise, I'm telling you, this concrete, I've seen better concrete floors. It is up and down all over the place, and I don't like to risk it. So we're just gonna do this bottom plate, and then I've got my studs marked out, and we're just gonna fill it in. But first, I just realized my laser's not exactly where I wanted it. So we're gonna move this in. We're gonna be doing a inset wall because we need to, and you'll see, we're putting steel on the outside of these walls, which means we have to run horizontal girding just like this in order for our steel to be installed. That's something to think about if you want to do a steel, finish. You can't just go over top of a studded wall because you don't then have the framing necessary to do that. So we knew that was going to happen. So what we're going to do is I'm going to inset this wall by 3/4 of an inch. And that's going to allow me to run my 3/4. It'll die into this, and then it'll be nice and flush. And I'm just going to make a bunch of quick marks. Actually, you know what? No, I can fit this right underneath this 600G. That's kind of nice. I can fit it right underneath. And you know, nothing real new here, guys, but this just makes it a lot easier. Okay, now over here on this end, there's going to be a doorway right here, and I'm just going to frame off of this wall for the jamb side, and then I'm going to measure over here. So I'm going to have 6 inches of framing over here, a 38-inch door. It's going to give me 44 inches. And the reason I did this is I want to know where I can put that last tap con at. So we're just going to come through here, make our marks for our king stud here, our jack, and there we go. So now I know where I can put that last tap con. Right on my laser. We're going to do 2 here. Do you have the LDM? Okay, now it's as simple as just doing the old measure with the laser distance measurer. 8'7", 15/16, 5/16. That was close. That would have been a problem. 8'7", 7/16. So that's an 1/8 inch difference from here to here, and it's not up there that the difference is happening because that's an I-joist. This is all in the concrete that I'm seeing. 7.5. 7 7/16. This guy 7 1/4. So very few consistent measurements. This is just, in my opinion, the easiest way. Now cut all these studs, stand them right in, toenail them, and we'll have a wall built, and then we can build this door frame. 8, 7. Okay. Oh wait, I don't even have to use a square because, boom, I got the Festool HKC. I'm just going to use it as my square. Man, what a time saver. Who would ever use a Festool on a framing site? So easy. In case you're wondering, this is the HKC 55, and we've had this now for probably every bit of 5 years, 4 or 5 years. Still works great. It's a little bit underpowered. I've done a video on this saw, but the fact that I can put it on these FSK tracks, it stays there, has adjustable a knob so you can do different degree cuts if you want to make a miter cut. But it is amazing for just cutting down your lumber like this. Saves you a ton of time. Yeah, I could use a regular saw and cut a straight line, but I can look at you guys also and make a perfectly straight line. So there we go, all my studs. Now we'll go ahead and install them. Greg actually crowned all these, and I'm gonna make sure that I crown into this room because I got a staircase, and I just always find if I'm ever framing anything, I always try to go, if there's anything being mounted on the wall, I try to crown away from it. I actually don't know if that really matters, but that's just how I was taught, and that's what I always try to do. Oh, beautiful. It's a little snug. Okay, we're gonna need the laser for that guy, and we're also gonna get the laser out for this guy because now this is my king stud, and it's going to dictate the plumbness of my jam. And we're a little shy, barely touching. We're gonna recut that guy and use it as our jack. Sometimes when you're doing this on the concrete, if this board is not perfectly in plane when you set your LDM, it can rock one way or the other, and you might be on a high point or a low point when you do this. But usually you can just wedge them in there like you've seen. Sometimes though, if it's a little bit loose, 8, 7, and 3/8. I had a quarter, so this is either pushed down or squeezed or something, or I might have even been on the edge of the board. I'm not sure. I'm sure it was my problem, but we're gonna recut this, give it a little bit more length. 8, 7, 3/8. 8, 7, 3/8. Where's that? Set that up there. Which way is this crowned? Nice. Okay. All right, so now that these wall studs are up, that's pretty darn easy. I can frame in the door, and then this wall's built. And I didn't have to worry about making sure that my floor above it was gonna be perfect because the floor itself with the I-joist gave me a perfect top plate. Come on. I mean, this is a 4x3 window, bro. No, for real. Okay, it's right here. This is pretty easy. Okay. Nice, 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 nice. That's because it's going to go to the concrete. This is just some Weather Logic seal tape. Just creating a barrier is all we're looking to do from white wood. Nothing fancy. Now, one thing I do is we have all the crowns. We crowned this wall in, but my jacks, I'm gonna opposite them and I'm gonna crown out. And that's just to try to kind of even out any of the crowning that might be happening. naturally, even though we do try to use the better boards for the door jambs. All right, cool. So in order to get as much of this pipe and this pipe in the wall, I don't think we're gonna get it, but Greg, go ahead and measure 11 foot half inch off of that guy, since we know that that wall's square. And I'm gonna clean off this insulation, get us a little bit closer. 11 foot half inch. Right there, hold that. This pipe and come on. Greg, you probably don't remember days of no anti-kickback, huh? You probably never used the whole hog, though.
I think you had an old one that was corded.
No, there's no way you were around when I had a corded whole hog.
I think so.
Really?
10 years ago? 11 years ago?
I don't know, man. All right, let's test it before we tape it all up. That gonna work? I would say so. Looks pretty decent. And that puppy just barely gonna make it in there. Okay, let's go ahead and get it taped. I'm gonna let you move yours. Since our top plate is gonna go right through this bay, we're just doing some 2 foot on center blocking so that we can nail our top plate to it. Let's see. Cool. Thank you, buddy. Oh. Now this is the strapping that we were talking about, and this is what our metal is going to attach to. So Greg's got the laser set up. Greg, let's just go ahead and just keep running this. And because we got the laser, we know exactly where to do this without having to do any measuring, and it'll line up exactly with the screw holes that we've got. Greg, where's your line, buddy? I can't see because you're in the way. No, it's right there. Go up. Just get her close. And what we're also doing, because we did see some of the studs were not the prettiest, because it's been kind of sitting here for, I don't know, maybe a month and a half. This wall, like this guy right here. Look at this. This is where this stud is supposed to be. That's the edge. So we knew that this one was bad. So I just thought, you know what? Let's just make a quick mark. We'll lock in kind of the middle of these studs and just make sure that things are good, because when we go put sheathing on the inside walls, we don't want studs that are kind of going all weird, because it'll make our job harder. All right, Greg, up a little, buddy. Keep going. Keep going right there. Up. Right there, right there. Okay, we'll leave that undone. We'll get that, make sure it's straight with a laser, eh? Yeah. Honestly, this is way faster. I used to always use a Sawzall, and as long as you don't continually cut into the concrete, you're not going to dull your blade, but it's just such a quicker way than a Sawzall, I think, and it does a cleaner job. All right, I think we're about as far as we can go on the framing for now. I gotta put together a material list now that everything is built, get all of our steel ordered and trims. But we're gonna go ahead, we've got these windows that are just gonna go in here. We're gonna go ahead and throw them in real quick. You got some, here, did you steal that from me? That was mine, dude. And we're not gonna do any water sealing. We're not gonna do any taping. We're not gonna do anything because we're inside. Hello? And it's not necessary. Okay, Greg. Look at that. A little bit of overcock there. Yeah. It's all you, man. Yeah? Good old vinyl windows. I'm gonna check it for square first. Let's see, we're just at 60 inches. And just at 60 and I mean, you could go this way about like literally just a little bit. Yeah, right there. Is that okay for you? Good. Make sure she opens nice. It's a slider, it pretty much should always work, but. It's all you. All right, guys, so we just got done meeting with the customer here on this mezzanine, and what we've changed what we're gonna do. So originally we were going to frame an opening right here. There was gonna be a wall right here, and there was gonna be this sliding door that's been creeping around in the background for the last, however long. That's actually was gonna get framed in right here. We kind of decided that wasn't the best thing, and we're actually now going to be putting it in the middle of these two windows. Probably hindsight's always 20/20. We should have probably looked at that originally. So what we're going to do is Greg up here is going to take one of our spare I-joists, and we're going to be screwing down into each I-joist underneath through the 3/4 subfloor with some 4-inch GRKs, and that is going to be basically our support header. Now, I think that just the way this is all framed, my guess is we could remove most of these studs because there's no weight up there and it wouldn't be too big of a deal, but we're gonna put this I-joist there, let it carry some of the weight of this, and then we can pull all these studs out, and then we can go ahead and get a new doorway framed in. So that's what we're gonna do today. A little bit of a sidetrack to what we were thinking, but it shouldn't take too long. Hopefully it should go fairly smooth. No, you cut them, didn't you? Yeah, there you go. It's gonna fall. Yep. Cool. Lay that sucker down. We'll cannibalize all these studs. All right, now because this sliding door has this nail fin around it, that nail fin goes around the bottom as well. So that means that we have to have a plate down here to fasten it to, so it doesn't sit directly on the concrete. Now what we've got going against us here is that from this side, all the way over here, 8 feet away, there's about 1.5 inch elevation change. Don't ask me why, the concrete guy did us no favors. I think he's sloping everything to the drain, but it's pretty extreme. And so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna come through with the laser and I'm gonna mark every few inches and get an elevation, and I'm going to shim it and get it prepped so that we can set the door in and it will set perfectly level. All right, so now what I'm going to do to prep this opening is I'm going to shim to the laser. I already know that this point right here is the highest point, so we're going to shim all this low area up, and I'll tack it down with some brads. That way when we set the door in, it sets right on a perfectly level surface and we don't have to worry about it. Then we can just plumb the thing up and fasten it. Greg is making up our framing for our door jambs, and then we'll have to build a header as well. So what I'm going to do is just get a measurement here. I can see it right on my tape measure, and I'm calling that 30 7/16. So I'm just going to go every stud space, and I'm going to make sure that my, if I'm not at 30 7/16, I'll have to shim it up. So this one, I'm at 30 and about 9/16. Now I got to cut off anything on the back side of this towards the high side because I don't want it to be sticking up too far. I'm only measuring it at this location, but I'll leave the shims on the low side because it doesn't really matter. They're going to get burnt up into they'll just be underneath the floor.
Yeah. I just wanted to like have a visual check on it. Yeah, I'm hitting all of my points and it's reading level, so it's kind of unfortunate. I'm gonna use like the whole pack of shims on this. It's insane. Let's hope it fits. And it's not even, oh, I'm hitting, Greg, I'm hitting the, there. Nice. Nice and tight. Beautiful. Perfect. All right, so now you can see the difference in the floor. So it's definitely not pretty. I'm hoping that what I can do is set this here, and then this should plane in at all of the points that we use the laser, and it will at least give us a nice solid spot for that door to sit on. So I'm just looking to make sure that that is flush. We've already used the laser. So now we should be able to set that door there, and it should rest the frame right on this nice straight line that's shot with the laser. And this really didn't take that long, a couple hours. Greg and I got this all framed up. So I guess we can pull that board up there and we're ready to set a door. Cool. Now, let's go ahead. We're gonna set it in the opening, Greg, to that block, and then we can fasten it or unfasten it. All right, now just come to the middle and just hold it.
Good thing this floor slopes pretty good down to the drain.
1, 2, whoa. All right, now that we've got this in, it honestly went way easier than Greg and I anticipated. And because we went ahead and leveled that perfectly, it set down real nice. And even our sides are consistent on both sides. So now what I'm gonna do is just find kind of a nice center point, Greg. So I'm gonna push this over. Give myself about a 1/4 inch on both sides. Go a little bit more. Nice. This jam, though, is all sorts of warped. It's been sitting who knows where for how long. So we're just gonna throw the laser up it. Now we got this laser going right up this edge. So we come up here, we know this is gonna have to get pushed that way.
Put your hand on there. I'll go in there with the bar and I'll move her over.
Yeah, it ain't gonna be much. Right about there, Greg. Hold that. I don't think it's going anywhere. Hold it, just hold it. That's mucho. Look at that warpage right there. Let's find like the worst. Let's come somewhere right in here.
Should be.
Okay. Now go ahead and set that back up there. Here, come in here actually. Don't be on that little nub out there. There you go.
I'm trusting you.
I didn't touch you.
Yeah, you actually did.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, a lot better. All right, well, would you look at that? What we thought was going to be a huge pain actually ended up not being too bad. A few hours of work, I think it's going to be a lot better. Greg just pulled that I-joist. That worked pretty good, didn't it? Instead of doing a beam underneath, it made our area a lot cleaner, and it just kind of acted like a little, I don't know, what would you call it, like a trestle beam maybe or something? Yeah, sure, whatever. Anyway, a support for the floor so we could open all this up, get that door, and that's an 8-foot door. And yeah, it's extremely dirty, but it was in, I don't know, some family member's shed, just collecting dust obviously, and thought it'd be a great place for it. And I think it's going to work out quite nice. All right, now that we've got that door in over there, we don't need to frame the door here. So this is going to be an easy one, nothing crazy. We'll get our line where this wall's going to be, put our plate bottom, plate on the top, stud it in, and then we need to come through, and this whole room is going to all be steel. So where all these vertical studs are, we need to do the same thing that we did on the outside and strap it with horizontal girts, and then this will be ready for steel. And then this interior mezzanine will be framed, so let's wrap this up and wrap this video up. We go from 8 6 15 16ths to 8 9 1/4. All right, guys, that is the framing. So we got all that strapping done. Basically, anywhere that we're running steel on the studded 16-inch on center walls, we had to do this strapping. Definitely added work. If we would have done like a post during the construction of the building, we could have just ran girts on both sides of the walls, whether we were doing plywood or steel. It would have made everything kind of easy, actually. And we will do that sometimes, but at the time of building this structure, we knew there was going to be something here. We just didn't know the exact design style, and it just didn't make sense at that time to be putting posts wherever, you know, this wall was. Now, I think about it and I think, well, why didn't I just see like we did that structural post out there to support that mezzanine? We could have done the same thing through this and then studded it, or girded it, I should say, but this actually worked out just fine. These walls now are super strong. And we're gonna get all of our measurements. This will be the end of this video, but we're gonna have a part 2 where we do all the finishes, and then we'll hopefully be able to show you guys kind of the full finished project here, which we've been working on for a while. And also, I think we've got a staircase over here that I might make a full video. I always get a lot of questions from younger people saying, how do you make stairs? How do you figure out the math? How do you do all that? And honestly, once you learn, it's quite simple, and if you have some of the right tools, it's even easier. So I will be sharing that stuff later, so make sure if that's interesting to you or something you want to learn about, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can follow along. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead, we're going to get all this cleaned up, we're going to get all of our dimensions so we can get all of our finished materials ordered. So see you guys later.